The United States should ban TikTok.
Your TikTok employees that live in China, they must cooperate with Chinese intelligence whenever they are called upon. And if they are called upon, they're bound to secrecy. That would include you.
There are more than 150 million Americans who love our platform.
We do not trust TikTok will ever embrace American values for freedom, human rights, and innovation.
The fact that it's still legal in 2024, an election year, means that there's going to be meaningful political advertising, campaigning, and influencing happening on a platform that is effectively owned by the Chinese Communist Party. It's an indictment on American leadership. And to be clear, both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, have had a chance to shut down the app. Both have failed. TikTok is a national security threat. It's an economic competitor, and it's a weapon in the culture wars. If you don't agree with me, then this video is going to upset you. Now, I'm not going to spend much time trying to convince you that China is America's greatest competitor, threat, or adversary. China is the second largest economy after the US. They actively challenge American allies in the South China Sea. Their allies, Iran and Russia, have adversarial relationships with the US and its partners abroad. They commit industrial espionage at the state level.
But I never shared this with anybody.
Okay. But you took it. That's the problem. Okay? That's where we're at right now.
Their explicit stated goal is to become the preeminent global superpower by 2050, which necessitates that the US suffer a decline in standing on the global stage. None of this is opinion, hyperbole, or conspiracy. It is reality. And if you doubt it, then your mind has been captured by Chinese propaganda efforts. Their most effective vehicle for those efforts was an app that they acquired in 2017. Founded in 2015, Musical.ly quickly attracted millions of users who enjoyed creating and sharing lip-syncing videos.
I want to help a lot of you. I do see this as a platform that is going to continue to age up. And more importantly, Musical.ly is big enough right now that you have to take the bet. Will Musical.ly become Snapchat and Instagram? My early intuitions are, I think it's got a real shot.
For a new social platform, a new social media to take off, it's better to have young people as an early adopter, especially the teenagers in the US. Why? They got a lot of time and they are creative. Today in school, the schools are already using like YouTube for education purpose. So everybody is professional in video making and editing.
In November 2017, Chinese tech giant ByteDance acquired Musical.ly for nearly $1 billion. Under ByteDance ownership, Musical.ly underwent a major transformation. The app's interface was revamped and its features were expanded to include more than just lip-syncing videos. ByteDance also merged Musical.ly with Douyin, their China-based short-form video app, creating a single app that would soon become a global phenomenon. In August 2018, the newly merged app was rebranded as TikTok. ByteDance poured billions of dollars into marketing TikTok, often spending their budget on platforms like Facebook and YouTube, with whom they intended to compete. By 2021, TikTok had surpassed 1 billion active users. And by 2023, TikTok had over 150 million users in the United States. More than half of those users are under the age of 35, going all the way down to just 13. They average nearly 90 minutes in the app per day. That's an average of 10 hours a week, over 500 hours a year, for the youngest, most impressionable portion of the population. So picture this, it's the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union are competing for global dominance. Competition takes the form of a space race, development of nuclear missiles, proxy wars in Vietnam, Korea, and Afghanistan. During the Cold War, newspapers and television were the two main media sources for Americans to get their information. ABC, NBC, and CBS dominated TV, while the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Washington Post were the most influential newspapers. Neither the left nor the right would have ever tolerated the USSR acquiring one of those firms and controlling one of these means of communication to the American people. But today, when we look at the apps where Americans are spending most of their time, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok are topping the charts. This is being tolerated by both sides. This is a national security issue. And let me be clear, this is not about the CCP stealing your data. Unfortunately, they already have it.
If you imagine having like a sci-fi novel and you said, like, what are a whole set of data systems that you really would not want the British state or the American state to be transferring data about? And then imagine that it turned out that these things are controlled by, owned by, whatever, Chinese intelligence, then that gives you a kind of nightmare picture that is the reality. I can't go into specifics of it because the specifics of it I think illegal to discuss.
Data was the justification for the US government, Amazon, and numerous other organizations banning their employees from keeping it on their phone. But that misunderstands how technology works. Modern smartphone apps operate like a prison. Apps can only access their own data and a limited set of external data to which they are explicitly granted permission. In other words, banning TikTok because it is surreptitiously stealing your data doesn't make any technical sense. Instead, this is about the ability to manipulate the algorithm to elevate stories, narratives, and memes that undermine American authority, sovereignty, and security. And TikTok has already acted politically on numerous occasions. The service censored Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, blocked a teenager discussing China's genocide in Xinjiang, and blocked a video of tank men. The Guardian published TikTok guidelines that censor Tiananmen Square, Tibetan independence, and the Falun Gong. After then, Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey tweeted in support of Hong Kong protesters, TikTok appeared to be censoring the Houston Rockets basketball team and reference to the Hong Kong protests. Most recently, a few influencers' posts have been elevated, arguing that Osama bin Laden was justified in organizing the September 11th attacks.
I need you to stop what you're doing and go read A Letter to America.
The Federal Communications Commission was established in 1934 to specifically combat things like this. In their charter is a jurisdiction over all media to ensure public safety, homeland security, and media responsibility. Where are they? Here's the crazy thing. The US would not be the first nation to block TikTok. India has already done it. The nation of 1.4 billion people blocked TikTok and 58 other Chinese apps back in 2020, citing concerns about national security. Immediately, a collection of local Indian-made and owned apps sprung up to replace them, granting the government more sovereignty and alignment in the digital sphere. This proves that it is possible and the consequences are negligible. And there are only two gateways onto American devices: Apple's iOS App Store and Google's Android system. It would take nothing more than one executive order directed at Google and Apple to get this thing done. It would take a day or two. Why haven't we done it? These are the most powerful business leaders in America being forced to appear in front of Congress. We tried to do the same thing to TikTok, and this guy showed up. That is not the founder of ByteDance. That is not the boss. Liang Rubo is the CEO of ByteDance. And even if you could get him to appear in front of Congress, he's not accountable to them. He's accountable to the CCP. They sit on his board. His family lives in their jurisdiction. They have way more power over him than we do. The ruling Chinese Communist Party has the power to shut down any company that they want to for any reason that they can come up with. CCP members often sit on the boards of the most powerful companies, and the most powerful executives, like Jack Ma, have been imprisoned for relatively arbitrary reasons.
压力非常大，压力大以后动作就变形。还有一些人肆无忌惮的贷款，不断加杠杆， 负债搞得越来越大啊！大家都知道，借1000万。
It is farcical to believe that the US has any control over the TikTok algorithm. So let's say we successfully ban TikTok. Would China retaliate? Of course, they'd try. They'd make some angry statements, but, sticks and stones. They'd probably want to punish an American company, but the best they could do is probably attack Apple. And if they hurt Apple, they'd ultimately be hurting themselves as well. The thing is, they've already banned most of the big American tech and media companies. Facebook is banned in China. The Great Firewall blocks Google. Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn, nowhere to be found. And this has been the case for decades.
While our services like WhatsApp are used by protesters and activists everywhere due to strong encryption and privacy protections, on TikTok, the Chinese app growing quickly around the world, mentions of these same protests are censored, even here in the US. Is that the internet that we want? So this is one of the reasons why we don't operate Facebook, Instagram, or our other services in China.
Now, the Chinese do buy Nikes, drink Starbucks, and eat at McDonald's. But what's the CCP going to do? Shut down these companies that employ tens of thousands, probably even hundreds of thousands of Chinese citizens? Wouldn't that just cause more problems for Xi, whose economy is already wobbling? So what would it take to make this happen? The answer is frustratingly simple. Bipartisan consensus. Folks on the right who identify as extreme free market absolutists need to realize that national security concerns need to take precedence over such a unipolar position. And politicians on the left should be expected to bring the same degree of skepticism and harshness to TikTok that they already bring to Facebook, Google, and the rest of American big tech. We need our leaders to get it done, or we need new leaders. Thank you for watching.